Let's bring in Makram Rabah, Assistant Professor of History at the American University of Beirut. Hello and welcome, sir. What's your reaction to the news that Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah has been killed?
Well, I would say that this is a natural progression of events, especially that from the beginning of the war up until now, Hassan Nasrallah and Hezbollah, and by extension Iran, have refused to disconnect from the war in Palestine. And in addition to the fact that they have failed to understand that the world has changed. While many people are looking at the strike as a kind of a military victory, I think what is happening is basically it's a political decision to get rid of Hezbollah and as well as to put Iran under trial in a way. Nasrallah's militia are not responsible only for the destruction of Lebanon, but in a way they were leading the so-called Iranian expansionist plan in the region. And so we see that the total collapse of Hezbollah and the total collapse of the Lebanese state is something that every one of us as Lebanese should take a step back and think what will happen after the official declaration of Hezbollah that their leader and their so-called cult personality have been killed and his command has been wiped out.
Right. It's interesting what you say, because that's exactly what I want to hammer on, because, you know, we've not heard a confirmation from Hezbollah yet, but if his death is confirmed, what could it really mean for Hezbollah and its operations?
Well, I think this idea that Hezbollah cannot be destroyed is something that was defeated in the streets of Beirut. The problem here is that Hezbollah is only a manifestation of Iran. And if left alone, Iran can go back to being a spoiler in the region. Unfortunately, I have no problem with actually the politics of Hezbollah, because this is something I'm willing to debate forever. However, we have to ask ourselves, where is the Lebanese government here? Because Hezbollah showed that he is not interested in the innocent civilians, first of all, by storing weapons and rockets within civilian populations. And explosions going off across Lebanon is a case in point. And more importantly, they have not set up any kind of a civilian emergency plan. Many of the innocent people that were driven out of their homes in their pajamas with their kids slept out in the open, sir. And this is something which is more tragic than the killing of Nasrallah. So here we have to say that one has to go back to the basics. First of all, the international community is clearly telling us we should implement UN Security Council Resolution 1559, which is basically no armed groups in Lebanon except the Lebanese army and the Lebanese state. So if the ruling establishment and the ruling elite do not convene immediately and elect a president and reformulate the government, Lebanon's tragedy will only be, what we are seeing is only just a sample of the ongoing tragedy, and this will become worse and worse as time goes by.
Right, and worse is where world leaders don't want this to get. They want to prevent further escalation. Now, Israel has eliminated many Hezbollah leaders in recent days. Does Hezbollah still have a command structure, or could this be the end of Hezbollah?
I am someone who has never looked at Hezbollah's military capabilities with much admiration, and what had happened recently proves my point. First of all, Hezbollah is only a militia that is serving the purpose of Iran by suppressing the people of the region. Hezbollah is only good at killing Arabs and killing Lebanese and Syrians and Iraqis and Yemenis, and they were never ever geared towards really fighting Israel. And here, and more importantly, one of the cardinal sins of Hezbollah, that it has lost its compass, so to speak. Initially, when Hezbollah was founded in 1982, it was founded against the backdrop of the Israeli invasion. So they claimed they wanted to liberate land. At the moment, there is no occupied Lebanese land whatsoever to fight for. More importantly, when you do not have the national interest of the Lebanese in mind, this is what happens. So I don't think, and I actually have information that many of the counterattacks that the Hezbollah fighters are doing right now are more or less individual initiatives, meaning that they don't have any sort of contact with their leadership. More than 90% of Hezbollah's leadership are nowhere to be found. Some of them are dead in the rubble, and some of them are actually hiding within civilian population, which is basically very alarming.
Right. We cannot talk about Hezbollah without mentioning Iran, a main supporter and backer of Hezbollah. What does this mean for Iran?
Well, Iran now has the difficult decision. If they think that they can get away was destroying Lebanon and Palestine and simply just lay low, as the Iranian president at the moment tried to do at the UN General Assembly meetings, and saying that Iran wants to cooperate in order to establish security and stability in the region. Now they have been called out. So their bluff of being a kind of a positive factor will be determined in the next couple of days. Moreover, I believe that ultimately Netanyahu, as well as many Western countries, has gotten to this realization that if we do not address the elephant in the room, which is Iran, this will only be one episode in a series of other chapters that can only bring more death and destruction to the entire region as well as to the international community.
Right. Makram Rabah from the American University of Beirut. Thank you for your insights.